Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. Hello, peoples. I've been thinking about this for a long time. What are some of the best hiking knives that you can have? What are the knives that you can take on a long hike? Maybe you are camping that night or you're just through hiking, but you want to have a knife on you. I've picked like about 4 or 5 pocket knife, folding pocket knives, and about 10 or 12 fixed blades. And this ranges from price from low to high. So I'm going to start off with under $50, under $100, $150, and then finally sky's the limit. Some knives that are pretty darn expensive. A majority, if not all of these, are American made. I'm looking over my pile. Yeah, I only see 2 which are not American made. So I have a tendency towards that because quality comes from America, in my estimation. Not only America, they don't have the trademark, or they don't have they don't have they haven't cornered the market on that. But when you're talking about knives in general, a lot of the good smaller knives come from America. That isn't to say that Taiwan, Canada, and Europe don't have some good knife factories. They do. They definitely do. But first, I'm going to ask you to smash that like button, leave a comment. And as always, thank you to my Patreon supporters. So coming in under $30 is the BPS, and this was made in Ukraine, Fin Light Puka knife. Ash handle, very nice. Now, there's some pros and cons to this. The pro is it's under $30. If you lose it, no worries. It doesn't currently have a way of holding it onto your belt. You could just tie this on with a pair of paracord. You could just stick the whole thing in your pocket because it's relatively small. When it's in its sheath, we're talking about a total of, 8 inches and a width of less than 2 inches. So honestly, if you have cargo pants, you could put this in there. So the con would be not a great, easy way to carry this, but the pro would be super easy to use. The ergonomics are pretty good. And for the price point, this is great. This is 1060 carbon steel. So you could take this out, use it. It's also a Scandi grind, so it's going to be good for some basic bushcraft stuff. So if you're out in the middle of the woods and you need to make a tent stake or something like that, and you're only taking one knife, this could get you through a camping night. You do need to take care of it. You do need to cover it with something because 1060 carbon steel will rust. That is another con. So at the under $30 mark, which I'm calling the under 50, I guess, this is a highly recommendable knife for someone who doesn't want to spend a lot of money, but does want to carry a little blade on them. And, honestly, the Puka design, this kind of design is kind of made for hiking and being in the woods and bushcraft. So, yeah, we're going with that. And then for the folding knife in this selection, I'm going to go with an ultralight pyrite, which is one of the best budget knives ever made, I think. It is a button lock, so you should not be batoning with this. You could do a little bit of feather sticking and batoning with this if you really wanted to. This you do not want to do that with, but it weighs next to nothing, has a clip, go in your shorts. If you're just through hiking, you don't have a backpack on even, and you just want something that's going to be really light in your pocket, but you still want to carry a knife, this is it for you. It has a very utilitarian Wharncliffe blade with a little bit of rounding here. AR-R50, RR29 steel, which is kind of like a spray form D2. You don't really need to know anything about that other than it's an okay budget steel, especially for $30. And it's coated here in some kind of PVD or coating, I think. So this spray mold plastic handles with liners in here. I mean, it's fine, very light, very cheap, highly recommendable. And the button lock makes it very friendly for someone who might not be carrying a knife all the time and just wants to push the button, engage it, and go out. Cons to this is that it's a little bit on the, you don't want to baton with it. You don't want to be too rough with it, but it's going to be fine. You can do whatever you want with this. So yeah, that's $30. And I believe that this was made in China. Very recommendable, though. That's the ultralight pyrite. By the way, all of anything that is available on Amazon will be linked down below. Some of these are only found at the company website or some knife specialty companies. All right, coming in at under $100 is kind of a category of knives, what I'm going to call a category of knives, which is basically a bunch of my LT Wright knives. So these are all LT Wright knives. LT Wright makes his knives, I believe, on the Upper Peninsula, American maker. Usually uses tool steels, so you're not going to find high-end steels there. But all these knives were under $100. This is called a dangler, right? So this guy right here will sit on your belt and go in there. It has room for a fire steel too. It's the Bushcraft baby. Now, one of the reasons why I made this a category is because these knives are harder to find, but any small knife from LT Wright could be and should be considered a good hiking knife, in my opinion. This guy is more on the bushcraft side. This is the Bush Baby, and this is a high carbon steel too. It's actually been forced to take a patina on here. Very cool looking little knife. Again, you're gonna have to look on his website and find when they dropped, or look at DLT or Knife Ship Free, and when they drop, you got to snag one up. I believe this one was like $80, and it comes with this really killer leather sheath. Next, we're going to talk about the Frontier first. This guy, I just got ABL stainless steel. Very nice. I've been carrying this so much. And I've got an Ulti-Clip on this. This is an Ulti-Clip 2.2. Really like these. In general, when you get the option, you should put an Ulti-Clip on. This basically works as a clamp. So when I pull out this top part, it releases a clamp there. And then when I tighten this down, it's going to sit. And I use this as an in-pocket carry. You could use this as a belt carry too, but I stick this inside my pocket. What I really like about this, and this is probably my favorite sheath that you can get, I got this factory made from LT Wright, is that this is called a taco sheath. In other words, it's a piece of Kydex which is folded over on itself with a little bit of a thumb scallop. So when it's in your pocket, imagine it's in your pocket right now. I can use my thumb here to push, and it has a nice big open hole here. So finding where the knife needs to start and go in my pocket is super easy. This isn't going to come loose while I'm hiking. It's not going to fall out. In theory, you know, something open like this, yes, there's tension of the leather, but you know, in theory, there's ways you could fall where the knife could fall out. This is never going to fall out of your pocket. Never going to fall out of your knife. Your knife's never going to fall out. This, I believed, was about $90, $80 as well. But I had to pay extra for the Kydex sheath, which was like $30. So it came in over $100. But again, I believe that this is a great knife. Very sharp spine too. Full flat grind. This is also a full flat grind. So yeah. And then another LT Wright. This is the Daily Carry ABL. I had to have this sheath custom made. This is a 3.3 sheath, although I could put a 2.2 on it. I just didn't happen to have one. Again, taco shell with thumb scallop. Daily Carry. Very cool. If you ever get a chance to pick one up, I highly recommend it. And then finally, the last LT Wright that I'm going to have on this list is the Frontier Trapper. Clip point blade. Very nice little guy. I kind of had this custom made. It was like $95, I believe. And I am using this little sheath here, and not a dangler, but you know, fits on your belt, right? So these cheaper knives that are usually around $100 from LT Wright, well worth it. Hard to find. Keep an eye out. If you see one, snag it immediately. Any one of these would be fine. You don't need all four, but if you're like me, you like them and you get them anyway. All right, the next category is going to be around $150. And I have three knives in that category. The first one I'm going to talk about might be the ultimate one on this list. Not the cheapest, not the most expensive, definitely lightweight, comes with a Kydex sheath already. It's the White River, and it's very easy to find. White River M1 Backpacker Pro. This happens to be an S90V version of this knife. Very utilitarian. It looks kind of strange with the ergos, right? Because you have to pinch up here, some jimping on top. Works really well. Very slicey, very light. This happens to have a AP clip on it right now from Ulti-Clip. I actually don't like this. I was testing it out, trying to see what I like. I'm going to put a 2.2 slim on it again. I think that that's going to be a better choice for me. What I don't like about this is that it's a sandwich Kydex sheath, not a taco sheath. So the hole here is a little bit small, makes it a little bit harder to get out. However, when you have a so when this locks in, it's not going to fall out. It just makes it a little harder to get out. You can still do it with your thumb and pinching it out, right? And finding that little slot inside of your pocket is very hard if you're carrying it as in-pocket carry. However, if you're carrying this on your backpack or your day pack, or like the strap over your shoulder with an Ulti-Clip or with this guy, you're going to be good to go. Has a little drain hole here too. Very ergonomic, very light. $150 about, depending on what steel you get. I've seen them for as little as $125, and I've seen them for as much as like $180, but around $150 is what you're going to expect to pay for this. Also American made. Yeah, White River Knives, M1 Backpacker Pro. This one happens to be coated in some kind of Creocoat coating. but highly recommendable. Might be the most recommendable, if I was strictly talking about backpacking knives, might be the most recommendable one, but we'll see. All right. And then coming in at around $125 is the Deca. This is a folding knife. I've put some fancy scales on here. It comes with plastic scales. But the Hogue Deca is a MagnaCut, which is a very nice steel. Great practical shape to it. Comes in a lot of different kinds of configurations. This one is highly modified by me, but it is a great little knife. Very, very light. American made, MagnaCut. Price is great. It's definitely a knife that you could carry around, not only as a hiking knife, but also as like an everyday carry. All you need is this knife. Easily last you 10 years, and with some care, maybe the rest of your life. And this one happens to be a bar lock as well, which is a strong lock. Has a Mega Springs in there, which might eventually fail. Mega Springs are fairly easy to replace though. So yeah, and you can look up some of my past videos on this and how I did this build if you're interested of where I got these other parts for it and how I built it. I like to modify my knives sometimes, and that was a fun build. All right. Next, this is a new knife, very small maker. His name is Waxed Wing, and this is the Aspen 2. I'm going to suggest all of his knives would be a great knife to carry on a hike. This happens to be an appendix carry. You put the belt through here and like through on your back, and then it has a thumb scallop. It comes with a taco sheath. This was about I can't remember, $150. It was less. I paid less than $150. Scale material. He has a lot of different scale material. All these dimples in here, he actually did himself. This is AB with a Dremel, but very fine, very good craftsmanship. It isn't as rough as you think it is. Very good carpentry knife. Very slicey, ABL. It's actually covered in a special coating as well, so it's not going to rust, even though it's made out of a stainless steel as well. Made in-house, supporting a local maker, America, I think in Pennsylvania, a very small maker. Check out his website. He has drops, and they basically sell out immediately. If you follow him for a couple of weeks, he's going to have a drop, and you'll be able to pick one up. That's Waxed Wing, and I would suggest any of his small knives as a hiking knife. Next, so now we're going up into the category of really expensive. By expensive, I mean over $200, and some cases approaching $300. So I have 3 fixed blades and 2 folders for this. I carry this all the time when I'm canoeing, kayaking, or sailing. This is on my life vest, and 9 times out of 10 when I get to a campsite and I make camp, this is what's in my pocket. This is the Quiet Carry Waypoint. Hollow grind, absolutely 100% stainless. It's made out of Vanek Super Clean, which is a phenomenal knife steel. The titanium scales are stainless, and then the liners inside here are LC200N, which are also stainless. Very good wire clip, very slim, disappears in the pocket, and it's a liner lock, and liner locks are very strong. This is a very recommendable knife, but it is over $200. I'm going to say it's about $260. But I have used the crap out of this knife. This knife has been on the water in salt water with me for 5 years, and there's not a speck of rust on it. Sometimes I have to clean it up and, clean out the bearings because salt's got stuck in there, but nothing, it's a great knife. Next, we'll talk about a small fixed blade that I really, really love. It's highly recommendable, also around $260. It's the Overland from TJ Schwarz, Pennsylvania maker. There's a lot of really good makers in Pennsylvania. In fact, 3 of the knives I'm going to talk about are all made in Pennsylvania, which is where I live. So I'm not being biased, but man, we know how to make knives in Pennsylvania. This is the Overland Sport Edition. I have the regular Overland, which is quite a bit larger, and he's made an in-between version of them now. I can't remember what he calls that one, but very recommendable. The Warrenclyffe type shape, very slicey, sharpest knife I've ever gotten, like straight up from a maker. MagnaCut, so very rust proof. The finish on it takes some abuse. Apparently it was left packed with something on the blade. I need to clean that up, but it's going to rub right off. It's proud here. Ergonomics are great. Comes with a sandwich sheath, which again isn't my favorite. I like the taco sheath a little bit more, but fine. And I have a 2.2 Ulti clip on it, which does have a little rust on it, but that's okay. You can kind of pick the colors, match and choose. Every Friday he has a drop. Again, not necessarily immediately available. You can put an order in for one, and in 2 to 3 weeks you will get it in the mail, or you can wait for a Friday when he drops one and he does all these special editions, and you can grab one. So you're talking about anywhere from 2 weeks to a month for you to grab one of these, but very light, very slim, very ergonomic, Wharncliffe blade, a little bit of belly, highly recommendable. This could be your only fixed blade. Honestly, it's a great knife. All right, we need to make some more room. We've got 3 more knives, and then I'm going to tell you what my 5 top favorite are, and the ones that I use the most for this application. Next, we're going to talk about what do we want to talk about next? We're going to talk about this guy here, the Spidey Chef. This is a frame lock. This is a Spyderco knife. It, again, is around $260, I believe. LC200N. Great knife. Look at that Wharncliffe blade. Lots of belly on that one. Frame lock, very strong, very slim, very lightweight. It is a knife that works. It's Spyderco, Sleesh design, made in Taiwan at the best factory that Spyderco has, in my estimation. I think it's better than the Colorado factory. I think it's better than the Chinese factory. I think it's better than the Japanese factory. I think it's better than the Italian factory. The Taiwanese factory that Spyderco has is absolutely amazing and banging. And this knife is quintessential Spyderco and works really well. Wire clip, can't recommend this enough. Really, really good knife for hiking, for adventures, and for, you know, a one knife type thing that you need. Next, I'm going to talk about the Leishan, and this is again going to be one of those. I recommend Leishan. Any small knife that he makes is going to be a good hiking knife. This is the Leishan Little Canuck, and this guy has great ergos, ABL, nice little belly, American maker, all kinds of different finishes and handle material. He drops his knives on Knife Ships Free and DLT. I don't think he sells them direct, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does sell a few on his website as well. If you see one, snag one. It's well worth it. Again, around $260, $250, depending on what kind of materials and finish you get, and which model you get. And lastly, but not least, is the Mako. And this is from Creeley Blades. I believe this is Canadian, actually. Mako comes with a lot of different types of scales. In fact, I just put these fancy scales on here. This guy, I used to have these. Why is this so cool? Ergos are great. Very light to use. Very, very sharp. Easy to sharpen, maintain. MagnaCut. Has other steels as well. You can get this in Vanex and spend a lot more. You can get it in other steels. But does his heat treats better than almost anyone in the world. And it comes with an in-pocket leather sheath. So with the UltiClip built into it, very sexy little design, very easy to use. You put a little lanyard on here and pull it out real fast. And yeah, highly recommendable. This is the Mako from Creeley. Very, very recommendable. Okay, so what are my top 5 choices? Very good question. Okay, here are my top 5 choices. I'm going to go from least expensive to most expensive. The Ultralight Pyrite, highly recommendable, $30. It's a no-brainer. If someone doesn't want to spend a lot of money, but they want something that's quality, this is it. Might not last as long as everything else because it's a little bit more cheaply made, but it is still very high quality, and I could easily recommend this to anyone. This is the Ultralight Pyrite from CJRB. Next, I'm going to say any of the LT Wright knives that you can get that are small. I personally, my favorite right now is the Frontier First. Absolutely love this knife. Hard to get though. And then after that, I'm going to say the Super Vanex edition of the Quiet Carry Waypoint. Absolute banger of the knife. In fact, I think, you know, I own hundreds of knives. This might actually be my favorite knife and the most used in my collection just because of how practical it is, and how much boating I do and saltwater stuff. So if you're not into saltwater and you're not on the saltwater a lot, maybe this knife isn't for you, but I absolutely adore it. Next, I'm going to recommend the Creeley Overland Sport Edition. Very, very easy knife to carry. Great sheath that it comes with. Yeah, absolutely love it. And then finally, I'm going to say the Mako Creeley. Very, very easy to recommend. A little bit more expensive. You know, I'm going to throw in a bonus there too and say that the Spyderco Sleesh Spidey Chef is a phenomenal knife. And also, you know, if you like Spyderco and you like their reputation, easy to recommend as well. So that's my bonus guy here. But don't pass any of these guys up. Like I said, like the guy from Waxwing, absolutely phenomenal. All these knives are great. And highly recommendable. They wouldn't be on this list if they weren't if they weren't recommendable. But lightweight, camping, going for a long hike, and you're only taking one knife, these are the ones I recommend. Hope that you find this video enjoyable. If you could please like and subscribe, that would really help the channel. Turn on notifications. If you just found me for the first time, I make content like this all the time. Check out some of my other videos and you'll see. And if you want to get a chance to win a knife of the month, all you got to do is click on the link down below for Patreon. For $3 a month, you get entered to win a knife of the month every single month. And I actually just gave away a little Canuck from Leishan. So, you know, sometimes they're cheap knives, like $50 knives, but always high quality. And sometimes they're more expensive knives, depending on, you know, what I'm getting in. All right. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you next time on Sharp Ends. Bye-bye now.